What's going on, everybody? American Football Network here today, and today we're bringing you our Cincinnati preview and prediction. But before we get started, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Help me reach that goal of 900 subscribers by the end of June. Check out the description for links to our podcast, website, Patreon page, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, and our college football roundup channel. You can also check out the description to find a link to join our channel. Shout out to the Gridiron Network for making this thumbnail. He's been making a lot of these for us. You can also find his information in the description as well. But let's go ahead and get started with today's video. So today we are doing Cincinnati. Last year, Cincinnati went 9-4 overall, 6-2 in the American in their last season under Luke Fickell, but no longer in the American. They are now in the Big 12. So last year, I'm looking through their schedule. They did not play a Big 12 school. But Scott Satterfield taking over. This is his first season at Cincinnati. And I think the thing I'm most excited to see is what Scott Satterfield does with Emory Jones. We've seen what he did with a guy like Malik Cunningham at Louisville. You get a similar player. I think Cunningham's better, but you get a similar player. I'm interested to see what he can do there and what Emory Jones can do with Cincinnati. But they returned 2 starters on offense, 6 on defense, so they're going to have a lot of new pieces in there for sure. Going to be interesting to watch and see what Satterfield can do year one. But let's go ahead and jump in to the schedule and see what we got going on for Cincinnati this year. So they start out week 1. They get Eastern Kentucky. I think this game is a win. I don't really think that there's much discussion needed about this game. I think Eastern Kentucky is. Excuse me. Just woke up. But I think Eastern Kentucky is a, much worse team than Cincinnati is. I think Cincinnati wins this game easily in week 1. A nice little easy game for Cincinnati to try and figure some stuff out and get things going offensively. But that ends week 2 when they go on the road to Pitt. I think this game is a loss. Another Satterfield versus Narduzzi battle. Those two are familiar with each other, obviously, as Satterfield was the coach for Louisville. But I do think Pitt gets the win here. I just think they're the better football team. I think Phil Dracovic and, that offense are a little bit better than Cincinnati's offense. Now, then again, we don't really know what Cincinnati is going to be like. They got so much new stuff, new system, everything. So nobody can really be sure of what Cincinnati is going to look like. But I do feel confident in saying I do think that Pitt is going to be better. And week 2 on the road at Pitt, I think that's easily a predictable win for Pitt there. Then they get Miami, Ohio at home. I think this game is a win. I think Miami, Ohio is, obviously not as good as Cincinnati. I don't think this game really needs a whole lot of discussion. Cincinnati, I think is easily better than Miami, Ohio. And again, I don't think there's really much discussion on that one. Then they get Oklahoma at home. I think they lose this game. I think Oklahoma just has too much offensively for them. They're more kind of set in stone than Cincinnati is. They got more talent. I just like Oklahoma better than Cincinnati. I think Dylan Gabriel and that offense is just going to end up, at the end of the day, just be too much for Cincinnati. Then they go on the road to BYU. This is a loss. I think BYU is just a better football team whenever you consider the fact that they're playing at home. If this game is on a neutral field, I think these teams are pretty close to even. Excuse me. But when you add in the fact that Cincinnati has to travel across the country to BYU on a Friday night, so it's going to be a short week also, probably going to have to leave Wednesday or very early Thursday and imagine Wednesday to get out there. So not an ideal travel scenario for Cincinnati. So I think with that being said, BYU will get the win in the game. Then Cincinnati gets their bye week. Then they get Iowa State at home. I think this is a win. I think that, Cincinnati, they get a bye week. They come in to Iowa State. They've lost 2 straight, Iowa State comes into Cincinnati. Cincinnati's lost 2 straight. I think they just get the win right here. I think they're a pretty even team with Iowa State. I think they're pretty comparable, but at this point in the season, especially with the off week, you got your offense going. You got all these pieces that you know where they need to go. You've learned all your players. You know what their roles need to be. They know what their roles are. And so I think at this point, Cincinnati's going to start getting some wins a little bit, and I think Iowa State's the first one. But they will lose to Baylor. I just think Baylor's a better football team than they are, much more talented, much more better coached. I think with Aranda, Satterfield was very good at App State, but never really could have very much success at Louisville. So, so I think Baylor, will get the win in this game. I just think they're a little bit of a better team, better coached. But then Cincinnati goes on the road to Oklahoma State. This is a win. I think they're going to beat Oklahoma State. I just think that Oklahoma State is missing a quarterback piece. I think at this point in the season, Cincinnati will have that. And I think, to me, that is the biggest difference in the game, is just going to be the quarterback play between the two teams. I think that Cincinnati gets the win over the Cowboys. And then they get UCF at home. This is a loss. What I just talked about with quarterback play against Oklahoma State, I think that they are at a disadvantage against UCF. Excuse me. With John Reese Plumlee, I think that he is the better quarterback in this game, or will be the better quarterback in this game. So, I think that UCF gets the win on the road at Cincinnati. But, Cincinnati starting to win some games, and I think the winning continues on the road at Houston. I think Houston is probably in the worst spot of the Big 12 teams, other than, maybe West Virginia. Yeah, West Virginia may be the other one. But I think other than them, that Houston's in the worst spot for sure. They lose a lot of pieces. They don't really, bring anything back to replenish any of that they lose. They lose a quarterback and one of their best offensive weapons in a little while, and Tank Dell. And then again, like I said, they lose the quarterback as well. So I think that Cincinnati is in a better spot as a program. I think they're a better team going into this game, and I also think they're better coached. And so even though it's on the road, I don't think that matters. I think Cincinnati goes in there and they get the win by, 10 to 14 points. Then they go on the road to West Virginia, to Mountaineer Field in Morgantown. I think they get the win. Again, West Virginia probably in the worst spot of any Big 12 team. I think that Cincinnati goes to West Virginia and wins by 2 touchdowns or more. I just think offensively they're much more talented. Defensively, they're a lot more stout as a unit. I just think they're an overall, at every aspect, just a better football team than West Virginia is, including coaching. They just have better coaching. They do. But then Cincinnati closes out the regular season with a game against the Kansas Jayhawks. I think this is a loss. I just think Kansas is going to have another big season. I think they're better. They're more experienced. I do think Kansas is better coached. And so I think when you add all that together, that just, lines up for Kansas to get the win. But that wraps up today's video. I have Cincinnati going 6-6 overall, 4-5 in the Big 12. So not a bad first season at all for them. I appreciate all of you guys watching. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Check out the description where you can find all the stuff to support our channel and find us on other platforms. But yeah, so that wraps up today's video. Tomorrow we will be putting out the Clemson video. I hope to see you guys there.